Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Pole Position Racing. I want to thank you all so much for joining us tonight as we are headed into the Japanese Grand Prix. We're going to take a quick look over our standings as we go into this race. In a moment, we have Capital Hood leading the field with 269 points, followed closely behind by B-Dunk, just a 19-point gap there. In third place, we have Chandler with 163 points, followed very closely behind by Borat with 158. We then have Delirious, Muffin Man, Formula Rager, then Saxman, Mr. Rhymer, and Double OT forming out your top 10. As we are loaded in here in Suzuka, looks like pretty cloudy skies. The rain could play a factor in the coming qualifying session. As there we go. Have a few reserve drivers filling the slots today for our Division 1 field. Most notably, we have EGC Sparky, DGM. We have Cyclone Rager regulars of PPR here, Delirious and Capita as well. Waiting for one of our drivers to take to the track and exit the garage. It looks like it's going to be the Alfa Romeo of Borat loves suck. Ladies and gentlemen, this man right here, he loves a good suck. Whether it's down the front straight, back straight, even in the S's. He'll take a quick suck anywhere he can get it as Borat takes us around turn 1. Very late apex, kind of just tease between the brake pedal and gas pedal as you get the nose in. As we're now working our way through the famous S's, everybody's favorite part of the Suzuka track. Exiting sector 1 now. Get a quick look at everybody's tires. Looks like Borat has opted for these soft compounds to start with. Going to take a quick look through the field, see who's causing that caution in sector 2. Looks like old Sparky in the banana boat. Hopefully that's all we see of that, as there is a ton of traffic coming out. Only 2 drivers left in the pits. Borat has the track all to himself, should have a great hot lap. He's working his way through 130R right now. Brackish in the midst of quite a bit of traffic, followed closely behind by his teammate. B-Dunk in his Williams, working his way around towards Spoon, it looks like. Washington Sector 3, here we have King Kirk in his Ferrari, working his way through 130R. Very nicely there. As Kirk starts his first flyer of the day, we already have a caution in Sector 1. It's like I thought it was a Racing Point, but I was mistaken. Not quite sure who that was. While working his way towards the hairpin, nobody around him. B-Dunk also looks to have quite a bit of room as Sosa's retired from the session. Saw him off there in the exit of the S's, just as King Kirk got a glimpse of him there, as Sosa lost the front end of his car, and he's going to be starting from the back of the pack for this Japanese Grand Prix. King Kirk working his way into the hairpin right now. As Borat should be crossing the line in any moment. As we see Kirk using all of the track, working his way through Spoon. Very difficult section of track there. Onto the short course start-finish line, charging his way towards 130R as Chandler puts in the first lap of the day with a 128.5. Followed closely by his teammate, White Mike, 56. Delirious stabs in with a 129.1. Kirk now worked his way through the final hairpin where we have seen some great racing moments in the past. He crosses the line with a 130 flat almost. At a caution sector 3, hopefully it's just somebody slowing down. Everything looks clear from DGM's perspective. Driving for Mercedes, getting very squirrely coming out of Spoon. Formula Rager about to cross the line. He does with a 130.5, puts him into P6 for now. Take a quick look at PPR Capita. Piloting his banana boat. Approaching 130R. Into 8th gear. 196 miles an hour before he turns in. Heavy on the brakes right before the Pirelli time board there. Using every bit of those curbs that he can. Over the very realistic bump there as Captain Hood goes fastest so far with a 128.3. Well done by Team Renault. As Borat Loves Suck comes back out onto the track with some fresh rubber, we have DGM getting wild in turn 1, it looks like. Carried a lot of speed down that front straight and did not get his Formula machine slowed down in time. Working our way around turn 6 now, the most difficult of the S's. Every driver seems to have a different strategy for going through that, as we can see DGM going very wide there. Clearly that lap won't be valid as Brackish has a 140. A lot of work to do there for Team Red Bull. And the Rager on his way back to the pits. Caution in Sector 2. Take a quick look through, see who that could be. Whoever seemed to have got it going. Sneaking suspicion it was DGM, but I may be mistaken. He is absolutely booning about. Ooh. Ooh. What it could be is here in Division 1 we run no assists, and he could be getting used to that in a very rough fashion as Borat Love Suck starts his first hot lap of the day. Let's see if he can keep it valid. Down to 3rd gear, kissing the inside apex before charging back towards the first of the S's. 6th gear before he lifts a little bit, then grabs 5th for the 2nd. Again, teasing between on and off with the throttle, down to 4th gear for turn 6. Now climbing his way back up through the gearbox, approaching the very fast right-hander of turn 8. Quick downshift and just throw the car in and hope it sticks. Now going under the bridge, approaching 130R, headed towards the hairpin. Borat grabbing 1st gear to get that nose turned in as close as he can to that inside curb. Now working his way around turn 15, approaching Spoon. You're going to break it right around the 50-meter board. Careful on that outside curb as it loves to throw the rear end around for a loop. Now working our way through 130R, kissing the inside curbs, keeps it hugged towards the left side of the track. Working his way through the final chicane now. Over the bump of non-existence, as Capital Hood would say, and Borat Love Suck is your new leader by a good bit with a 127.7. Capital Hood has a little bit of work to do. We also have Chandler and Delirious pulling back out onto the track to take another stab at the provisional pole sitter. Sparky looking to get his first valid lap of the day, working his way through the final chicane now. Does well to keep his Renault between the lines. Now work his way through the gears, charging towards the line, keeping it towards the right-hand wall as Sparky goes 3rd fastest with a 128.4. Great time from the sub-in Renault driver. As it looks like Double OT takes to the track just behind him, as we have a few drivers queuing up, trying to make a little bit of space in traffic. We have the Williams of MRC Ramrod working his way through the S's. Got some fresh soft Pirellis on his car. Claire Williams watching nervously from the pit wall. Martini close in hand as we have double caution in Sector 1 and 2. Ramrod's not too worried about that, though, as he's on an absolute charge at the moment, working his way under the Fanatic branded bridge. Getting slowed right down for the slowest corner of the track. Now back up all the way to 7th gear, approaching Spoon once more. About to finish out Sector 2 now. Ramrod has a great line through there, carries a lot of speed onto the back straight. Let's see what he can do with it. As there we have a Sector 2 time, almost a second up on his previous best. Ramrod looking good so far to be in at least the top 5, just a couple more turns to go. Handles the rear end of that Williams nicely. And Ramrod crossed the line with a 129.6, puts him into P7 for the start. Just a little over 7 minutes in qualifying left. As OOT's working his way through turn 8 right now. Heavy on the brakes for 9. OOT has been progressing nicely lately in his F1 career. Curious to see how he does in this Japanese Grand Prix. Takes a whole lot of curb through Spoon, but handles it well. Looks like Brackish is having a little bit of trouble out of the S's, unfortunately. As OOT crossed the line with a 128.6, puts him up into P5. Just behind the Haas of Handler as Saxman's working his way through Spoon now. I'm going to give Saxman24 a quick shout out for doing a great commentary for our Division 2 drivers tonight. Can't wait to see him next week, hopefully, as we will hop on board with DGM. Still yet to put in a valid lap, as Capital Hood put in a 128, not enough to go to first, unfortunately. WT working his way back to the pits. B-Dunk as well is on an in-lap. A little bit of a lull in the action right now as everybody gets their last set of tires fitted. We're going to see Brackish coming back to the garages now. See Ramrod just in front of him doing the same. As we have just under 5 minutes in qualifying left. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us here tonight at PPR. Be sure to join us same time, same place next week. We will also be live streaming on YouTube as well if you're interested on subscribing to our channel over there, at the same name, PPR Esports. And while you're following blindly along, subscribe to our Twitter feed under the same name, of course, as PPR Capita. He's working his way back into the garage. Looks like we have White Mike and PPR Cyclone leading the field back out onto the track. Cyclone looks to be got a 130 flat right now, just outside of the points range. If he could just put in a half-second better time, he's going to be right up around 6th or 7th place. He'd be sitting very nice starting position for this Grand Prix. Keep our eyes on him, see what he can do for Team Ferrari. Actually, both Ferraris have quite a bit of work to do. His teammate King Kirk 67 sitting down there in 14th place at the moment. Kirk's going to be looking to make some moves, I'm sure, late in qualifying. Just under 3.5 minutes remain. Saxman 24 also coming back out onto the track. Everybody at this point has soft tires. Cyclone trying to work as much heat into those Pirellis as he can, working his way towards 130R. As Cyclone sets up for his final hot lap. White Mike is hot on his tail. We'll ride on board the Haas with him for a quick view of these two's final hot lap of the day. As we see Ramrod there waiting for our hot lappers to go by. White Mike did very well there not to lose the front end over that inside curb, as that is known to take a bite out of most drivers' day. Seems to be holding nicely behind Cyclone's pace for now. Have a double yellow in Sector 1 once more. Taking a quick look at Saxman 24, make sure everything's good with him as it is. Cyclone and White Mike now approaching Spoon. Cyclone handles the entry well. White Mike goes a little bit wide, but does well to get the front end back on track. Gonna lose a lot of time coming onto the back straight though, unfortunately. Cyclone using every bit of the track that he can there, going through 130R now, heavy on the brakes for the final chicane for one last time. As well to handle the oversteer there as Cyclone crosses the line with a 130.001, just 1,000th behind his previous best. Unfortunately, he does not improve. White Mike pulls back into the pits as Saxman 24 crosses the line with a 128.7, but unfortunately was invalidated, so will not count. Remember the Rager working his way through the hairpin now. Front brakes glowing with heat as we see presumably DGM there clearing off some trash from the side of the racetrack. Ramrod negotiating turn 8 without any issues. As DGM has unfortunately retired from the session. Korat's taking one last attempt to improve his time. He's already 600ths up on his previous best. Keep our eyes on him as Sparky is as well, starting one last hot lap as qualifying time has lapsed. Everybody's on their final laps. Let's see who's coming to the line first. Cyclone work his way through 130R. I think he's in lap though. Ramrod seems to be flying though, as Brackish unfortunately has left the session. Ramrod has just one turn left to go as he charges towards the line and crosses with a 129.4, puts him just inside points contention for the start of this Grand Prix in 9th place. Korat now charging to the line, 2/10 up on his previous best. He's going to cross the line with a 127.5. Let's see if anybody can do anything about it. Capital Hood already about 2/10 up on his previous best. Sparky working his way through Spoon now as Chandler goes second fastest with a 128.0. King Kirk put in a 129.5, puts him into P11 just outside points range for the start as Capital Hood is now almost 3/10 up on his previous best. Flicks his way through 130R without any issue. Now just the bump of non-existence to deal with. as we see a wiggle of his front wing as Captain Hood goes with second fastest with a 127.9, which is 0.4 off of Borat's pace. Borat absolutely dominant today. Oh, Sparky looks to have spun after the aforementioned bump of existence in this game, unfortunately, which seems to have ended Sparky's final qualifying hope there. That should do it for the first qualifying session here from your friends at Pole Position Racing, as thankfully Brackish is back in the lobby. Bit of a tongue twister there, as we see all our drivers just working their way around the track, waiting for the stars to align. They're riding on board the 5th place starting Delirious. We'll keep our eyes on him, see where he makes his way to off the start of this Grand Prix. Has quite a bit of time separating our competitors today. About 2 seconds between our top 10 there. Borat loves suck, man, with an absolutely dominant 127.5, untouchable up there. Sosa, unfortunately, the only crash out of that qualifying seems to have happened within, 2 minutes of the race start. Sosa's just so excited, man. He's just, I can't blame him. He just wants to get out there, and he's just, sometimes it gets away from you. I understand. As we will take a quick look at the schedule for PPR as we move forwards here with this new league. Tuesdays being our main Division 1 and 2 race nights, starting at 7:30, followed by the premiere that you were watching at 9. And then on Fridays, you could join us at 9 as well for our Division 3 drivers. It's not their slowest group, it's just the, Friday drivers. Kind of like casual Fridays, everybody shows up in jeans, hops in an F1 car, and goes racing. As we see the Ferrari and Mercedes on the back of the grid there, wiggling with anticipation. Just can't wait to get going. Spring rates set to the absolute max. Just engine vibrations shaking those cars violently. As we wait for everybody to get their setups locked in, looks like the skies are going to be clear for the start of this Grand Prix, thankfully. Good omen for the beginning of the PPR League. I cannot wait for the start of this Grand Prix, Japan being one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. As we have Team Banana locking out the inside line. The start of this Grand Prix, Borat loves suck, leading us around one last time for this formation lap. Third place, we have the Haas of Chandler. Have our reserve driver Sparky in 4th, followed by PPR Delirious. Gabotis in 6th, followed by the Williams of B-Dunk, taking a little bit of grass there to warm up his tires. We have our new Division 2 commentator, Saxman24, the man, the myth, the legend himself, starting 8th place, driving for Toro Rosso. We have B-Dunk's teammate Ramrod starting 9th place, followed by Formula Rager closing out your top 10. Driving for Ferrari, we have King Kirk starting 11th, followed by White Mike and a bit of a Ferrari sandwich, followed closely by PPR Cyclone. We have the ghost of Brackish's past, unfortunately. Not sure what's going on there. Hopefully he can get back into the game if that seems to be the issue. We have reserve driver DGM, excuse me, starting in 15th. Followed by El Presidente General himself, Sosa. Keep your eyes on Sosa, he's going to be making moves all day. He's sure to not be happy starting all the way back in 16th position. So we see Borat working some heat into those tires, working his way through 130R. Got a brilliant sunset there in the distance. as Borat pilots his Alfa Romeo towards the starting grid. All our drivers are going to take their positions as we are just moments away from the inaugural Division 1 Xbox League, hosted by your friends at Pole Position Racing. That's a good looking tire, huh? Wow, just look at those pebbles too. Incredible. Next gen. As we wait for everybody to sync up, our back markers to finally take their positions. Looks like the Ferraris in the back have stopped jumping around as we go back to Borat's tire. Capital Hood has the camera angle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The lights are out and we are racing with PPR. Everybody gets away without issue. Delirious with a bit of a wiggle into the grass gets back onto the track without any issue. Capital Hood and Chandler almost side by side through turn 1. The rest of our pack seems to be getting through without any issue. Sosa already up 2 spots. Chandler now battling back against Double OT and Sparky. Looks like White Mike unfortunately has crashed, as well as Delirious. Saxman 24 trying to make his way around Ramrod 4 P7, working our way through turn 8 at the moment. Formula Rager also putting his sights on King Kirk 67. Less than a second separating P8 through P13 at the moment as we work our way through the hairpin. Ramrod's working his way around the outside of Saxman 24. A little bit of a touch on exit there as we're now working our way towards turn 13. Now they're side by side still as Saxman 24 works his way around King Kirk 67 in the background there. Ramrod's still on the outside line, holds his position against Saxman 24. King Kirk not far behind. Now approaching 130R for the first time. King Kirk looks like he's got a great run on Saxman 24. We're going to go on board. He looks to the inside. Oh, lifts a little bit. Saxman runs wide. Both drivers make it through without issue. Did very well to avoid anything as Brackish almost gets into the rear of Sosa there, approaching the chicane. As Borat leads the first lap ever for PPR. As Delirious and White Mike bring up the back of the field. Capital Hood still not far behind the pace of Borat. All Capital, no Hood, excuse me. As DGM picks up a 3-second time penalty, Delirious is going to work his way around. Brackish still just 0.2 off the pace of Sosa. Now going to hop on board with King Kirk 67. Who's putting the pressure on Saxman 24 once more. Actually, excuse me, Formula Rager is relentlessly attacking King Kirk. A little bit of a touch there on his rear tire. We would have seen a puncture like we just all saw in Brazil. Thankfully, this is Cody's as Formula Rager works his way up the inside and gains the position into the hairpin. Well executed by him. Brilliant piece of driving there. As Cyclone follows closely behind his teammate, these three are going to continue to trade blows for the rest of the day. Looks like B-Dunk is applying the pressure to Double OT. B-Dunk looks to have a great run coming out of Spoon. Still no DRS assistance yet, but well within the draft of Double OT's Alfa Romeo. Double OT looks to defend to the inside. B-Dunk looks to throw an over-under on him. Almost gets alongside his side pod. A little bit of a touch on entry to the chicane, but nothing too much doing there. As we have a Sector 3 caused by Formula Rager in the chicane. Looks like DGM also almost got involved in that. We're going to have King Kirk pulling into the pits. Trying to get a off-board view. Looks like he might have gotten into... Yeah, they're going to have a front wing out for him, as I still can't... The stealthy front wing repair. Ferrari, like usual, doesn't want us to see what's going on. As Delirious is now putting the pressure onto the racing point of Sosa for P11. Working our way through the S is now very difficult to put a passing move on here unless your opponent makes a big mistake, as Delirious has now a very good run on Sosa. Working our way towards turn 8. Again, very difficult to pass there. Delirious backs out quite early. See Brackish in the front there, trying to catch up to PPR Cyclone. Delirious now all over the rear end of Sosa in the hairpin. See if he can make anything move coming at, make anything happen coming out of Spoon. As Capital Hood is now fallen over second behind Borat's pace. Delirious does well to get to the inside of the apex there. But unfortunately, Sosa seems to have a great run towards 130R. Brackish slowly catching up with Cyclone, runs very wide on the exit to 130R and almost gets into the rear end of Cyclone. Locks up the front right just a bit in order not to let anything happen as B-Dunk's going up the inside of WOT approaching turn 1. Had a whole lot of assistance with the help of DRS going into that. He's going to pick up P5 without any issue as Delirious passes Sosa going into turn 1. Have a caution in sector 3. Would have been GGM coming into the pits. We have King Kirk absolutely tearing through 130R. He's going to be on a mission to make up some lost time. As DGM unfortunately has retired. It's going to give King Kirk one free position so far. Brackish still trying to find his way around PPR Cyclone. As we still have a double caution in sector 3. And sector 1 now as well. But nobody's in sector 1, so I'm not sure what's happening there as we see Borat working his way through the chicane with finesse and skill. Man executing a plan. Keep our eye on him throughout the day as WOT is trying to find his way back around B-Dunk. Big bit of oversteer there that he had to contend with coming out of the chicane. Hop on board with Brackish, seems to be closing on Cyclone's pace for P9. See if he can do anything with the help of DRS approaching turn 1. Cyclone defense to the inside, forces Brackish the long way around. Brackish does very well to get that Red Bull slowed down enough, stay within track limits, and gain position 9. As he continues his points charge through the field, we will hop on board the McLaren of Delirious, trying to catch back up to the racing point of Sosa for P11. Delirious with an absolutely killer line through turn 8 there. Almost gets into the back of Sosa there in the hairpin. We have Capita and Chandler catching up to Borat for P1. We've got gonna work our way up to that battle for the lead. As these three are approaching 130R once more, we have Alpha leading Renault, followed by Haas. Sunlight dancing in the background there. As Cap really looks to be on a charge now. Within DRS range of Borat. Chandler will be within DRS range as well. Possibly not, as it looks like... Oh no, he did get it as well. Unfortunately, neither driver able to capitalize on the help yet. As we'll hop back on board with Delirious. He's gonna have the help of DRS attacking Sosa once more as we charge down the start-finish line. Sosa stays on the outside, a little bit of a late defending move there as Delirious works his way up the inside into P11 and sets his sights upon PPR Cyclone. All that battling has allowed the Red Bull of Formula Rager to catch up just a bit, as he's now going to be putting the pressure onto Sosa. Formula Rager taking a little peek there going into 8, but knows it's wiser not to try anything too dramatic there. Trying to lay the power down, but unfortunately could not. Take a look at everybody's tire data for the day so far as Formula Rager is trying to work his way up the inside. Sosa left him absolutely no space. Sosa certainly had his elbows out there going into Spoon. Did not want any funny business from the Red Bull in the rear. Formula Rager on an absolute charge, though, catching right back up to the racing point. As B-Dunk passes Sparky for P5 going into turn 1 once more with the assistance of DRS. B-Dunk absolutely loving that front straight for passing. But Sparky now right back behind him. Working our way through the S's, unfortunately. Ooh, B-Dunk with a little bit of a mistake there, struggling to get the front end turned in as Formula Rager passes Sosa. Going into the same spot, Sosa's now going to be in chase mode once more. And take a quick peek at Saxman24, who is very close behind MRC Ramrod. Looks to the inside of the hairpin, struggling to get his car slowed down, was halfway into the grass. Little bit of a bump with Ramrod. But to be fair, Ramrod did not leave him much room on the left side there. Now very frustrated Ramrod's going to be looking to get around him. Taking a quick peek into Spoon, trying to get Saxman looking in his mirrors. Excuse me, there's no mirrors in this game. Just trying to get Saxman to just turn his head around and look out the back of his F1 car. There we go. As they're working their way towards 130R. Ramrod carrying a little bit more speed, looks to the inside of the chicane. Almost gets into the rear end of Saxman24, but does well to get that car slowed down. As OOT passes the pitting Renault of Sparky. Ramrod's going to be looking to the outside of Brackish, who defends to the inside line. Saxman24 unfortunately loses 6th position to Ramrod. As Sparky exits the pits in 14th position. Delirious has now caught up to the Ferrari of PPR Cyclone. Working our way out of the S's now. Going through turn 7. And the high commitment turn 8 now. Delirious with a great line through there, taking a big bite out of that inside curb. Now right on the rear diffuser of Cyclone, charging towards the hairpin. Got Sparky passing White Mike. We have a double caution in Sector 1 and Sector 2, but Delirious is side by side with Cyclone in the hairpin. Unfortunately, couldn't make anything stick there. Gonna take a quick look through our drivers, make sure everybody's okay. Looks like there's a little bit of carbon fiber on the left side of the field there. As OOT has lost it. Coming out of Spoon, probably got a little bit too wide and lost the rear end. Gets back out onto the track without causing any issues. Oh, excuse me, I almost spoke too soon there as he almost took out the front wing of Cyclone and Delirious, who were battling for position. As he loses one more position to Formula Rager. Delirious is right alongside Cyclone going into the chicane. As B-Dunk passes Chandler for P3, they're still side by side going towards the line. As Chandler's pet going into the pits. We're going to stay on board with Delirious and Cyclone. Formula Rager now joins the party. Delirious goes around the outside with the help of DRS. We have Chandler coming out of the pits just ahead of Delirious in the middle of this melee. Capita still within a second of Borat, so we're keeping our eyes on that battle as well. Formula Rager right behind PPR Cyclone. Fortunately, OOT pulls into the pits to repair some damage and get some fresh tires. As we also have the Haas of White Mike stopping for some fresh rubber as well. Delirious picks up a 3-second time penalty for pushing that turn 8 limit just a bit too much. Midfield displaying some absolutely great driving today as Formula Rager's looking to the inside of Cyclone, working our way towards Spoon. Gonna see who's gonna be later on the brakes here, as it looks like Formula Rager's gotten it done, but Cyclone's not out of it yet as he's still right on the inside wheel of Formula Rager coming out. Oh, unfortunately loses to the grip of the rear end of his car. Formula Rager picks up P9, approaching 130R. To see if Cyclone can get a run on him. Unfortunately, right now he's just trying to stay in the draft as Bora and Capita come into the pits. B-Dunk is your new race leader. Cyclone and Formula Rager do well to get their cars slowed down for the chicane. As Borat and Cap are going to come out just ahead of Chandler. Just under a second separating these three drivers, now battling for the lead after everybody finishes their pit changes. Cyclone trying desperately now to find a way back around Formula Rager to stay within the points. Sosa slowly working his way back up to this battle, but followed closely behind the reserve driver of Sparky. Borat loves suck. Now going to be getting quite a bit of a suck from ARL, Brackish, and Saxman, as these three are going to be working their way over to the junior course start-finish grid now. Brackish defends to the outside line. Borat has quite a good run on him, goes to the outside. Brackish yields the position before 130R. Borat now sets his sights upon Saxman 24. Knows that it's not wise to pass in the chicane, and sets something up for the start-finish line as Saxman dives into the pits. Borat does well to stay out of his rear end there, as Chandler's well within DRS range of Cap. Unfortunately, Cap has DRS as well and will be able to retain P4 without too much of an issue for now. Just under 0.4 of a second separating these two drivers. Seen some great battles between them so far this season. Sure, in the next 16 laps, we're sure to see quite a few more. Chandler using absolutely every inch of the track that he can, as Ramrod got turned around there coming out of turn 9 there. I'm not sure if Borat got into the rear end of him. I was too busy rambling, unfortunately. As Chandler's now going to try to find his way around as well. If Borat did in fact get tangled with the rear end of that Williams, it's only going to be in his worst interest, as it was sure to pick up some front wing damage there, as Ramrod's really seemed to be dealing with a whole lot of something there. Chandler trying to set something up on entry to the chicane. Ramrod takes a pretty middle line and does well to defend against the attacking Haas, as he's going to duck into the pits. Chandler losing it. Oh, does very well to keep his front wing intact. Big drifts. Big drifts in Japan. Dorifto-san. Just ripping that e-brake coming around the last turn. Unfortunately, there's nobody there to tandem with him for points for style, as Kappa and Borat continue to chase. We have Brackish following Ramrod. Oh, bit of a smack there coming around turn 1 between those two drivers there, as neither one of them loses it, but I'm sure that now these two are going to be turning things up to 11 in the cockpit, trying to work their way past each other. Looks like Brackish has quite a bit of battery in the tank now. Battery in the tank? Battery in the... charge in the battery. As he's really gonna be desperate to find his way back around Ramrod. The awful steering wheel of Williams was in a bit of the way. Wow, I can't speak tonight at all. It's just so tongue-tied from excitement in the first race here at PPR. As I was saying, both these drivers have just about the same amount of ERS in their batteries, as Borat puts in the new fastest lap of the race. Brackish well within DRS range of Saxman 24, but unfortunately does not have the assistance of DRS. Oh, that's not a DRS zone, is it? Oh man, apologies for the lower stream quality than usual here, as we've been absolutely rushing to get everything ready for the premiere tonight. It's brackish now, just 3/10 off the pace of Ramrod. Carries a lot of speed into turn 1, really struggles to get it slowed down, but eventually does so. Ramrod's gonna run away with things just a bit now. Hop on board the McLaren of Delirious, working his way back up to the Toro Rosso of Saxman 24. Unfortunately, Delirious's teammate is absent tonight. Hopefully we can get him back in for next week, as looks like Saxman's 24 is pulling away just a little bit. Brackish has worked his way up to the rear diffuser of Ramrod. As both these drivers throw it into the hairpin, Brackish really trying some interesting lines. If he can get the power down, he should have his way around Ramrod. Wiggling and squiggling in his mirrors now. Ramrod had a great line through Spoon there. Brackish struggling a little bit, sawing at the wheel, but as I believe he's on controller, that is the name of the game. As our midfield works their way through 130R, we also have Formula Rager battling with OOT for P11. Formula Rager's going to have quite a run on him going over the start-finish line, but unfortunately was struggling to put the power down. OOT is going to run away just a little bit. Brackish looks to the outside of Ramrod going into turn 1 once more. Ramrod very late on the brakes. He's going to hold P7, as Brackish had a opposing line there, but could not get the power down quick enough. Delirious still following Saxman 24 for P9. As B-Dunk continues to hold a 6-second interval over the second place Borat Love Suck. Unfortunately, without a Suck, Borat can't do much. As White Mike unfortunately has retired from the session. So we see a bit of a bump there between Brackish and Ramrod. Through a bit of oversteer into the Red Bull of Brackish there. Did well not to lose it, but that's going to allow the Toro Rosso of Saxman 24 now to apply the pressure as Cyclone passes Formula Rager. Formula Rager unfortunately lost it coming out of the hairpin. On those fresh medium tires, not sure if he was struggling to get heat into them and just thunder-footed a little bit, as he has Formula Raged his way out of here. Stewart's going to be looking at that post-race, as Saxman 24 is still right behind Brackish. Working our way across the start-finish line once more. Saxman 24 thought that grass was getting a little bit too long there. Unfortunately, he's going to kill his run down into turn 1. Brackish still has a little bit of a hope, though. Now right on the rear end of Ramrod. But going into the S is very hard to set up a passing maneuver here. Now have a 4-car battle for P7. Delirious following this train up at the rear. The double yellow in sector 2. Unfortunately, it is Presidente General Sosa lost it coming out of turn 9. As that's going to allow OOT to work his way up the inside, going out of the hairpin, trying to set something up for Spoon. Going to hop on board with Sosa as he yields the position. B-Dunk's going to be pulling into the pits. Borat is once again your race leader. Just over 10 to go now in the inaugural Japanese Grand Prix for PPR, as Saxman 24 picks up a 5-second time penalty for exceeding track limits once more. ARL Brackish engages DRS, crosses the start-finish line, as we're going to hop on board Delirious for a view of this action approaching turn 1. Ramrod defends the inside line once more. Saxman 24 goes very wide and picks up another penalty. Delirious almost gets a run on him approaching the S's, but unfortunately could not keep the momentum going in his McLaren. Saxman 24 continues to pressure Brackish, who continues to pressure Ramrod. Brackish almost had a run up the outside, Saxman rather, almost had a run up the outside on Brackish. Heading into the hairpin, but unfortunately could not capitalize it, as Cyclone's catching up to the racing point of Sosa now. Might have picked up a little damage on that incident last lap, not sure, as Delirious looking to the outside of Saxman 24 around Spoon. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there as Delirious is pushed wide. He's going to lose over 2 seconds to that pack. Unfortunately, Saxman 24 going to fall off a bit, as well as Brackish is the last one within DRS range of anybody, as King Kirk picks up a 3-second time penalty. Going to hop on board with Cyclone as he's looking to the inside of 130R on Sosa, and he gets it done in a brilliant way. Sosa unfortunately couldn't do much about that, as Cyclone's issued a 5-second time penalty for for absolutely losing it after that brilliant move, as we see his teammate work around there. I think the adrenaline got to him there, as sometimes that will happen to the best of us. As Brackish continues to chase Ramrod through the S's, a very familiar sight. We have absolutely no audio right now. And there we go once more as the very quiet hybrids come back into earshot. Borat has opened up almost a 5-second interval over cap at this point in the race. Spark picks up a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits, as Brackish still just about half a second off of Ramrod's pace. Working our way through Spoon, where we just saw Delirious forced very wide by Saxman last lap. Brackish seems to be falling off just a little bit in terms of pace now. B-Dunk puts in the new fastest lap of the day. It's a 1:30 flat. Gonna take a quick ride on board with Saxman 24 as he tries to catch up to this melee between Brackish and Ramrod. Brackish picks up a 5-second penalty there, defending against Saxman 24. Saxman 24 right in the draft of Brackish. Brackish looking to the outside of Ramrod going into turn 1. Ramrod still on the inside, gets into the side of him, almost loses it completely. Allows Saxman 24 to work his way up into P7 around the struggling Ramrod. Unfortunately, Williams loses 2 positions there in 1 turn. Gonna have to take another look at that after the race and see exactly what happened there between Brackish and Ramrod, as unfortunately I was struggling for camera angles. As speaking of camera angles, there's a great one as we see everyone flicking their way through turn 8. Just under 7 laps to go until the conclusion of the Japanese Grand Prix. Final order sure to be changing quite a bit until the end of the race as Saxman is applying the pressure once more onto Brackish. Brackish weaving a little bit, trying to break the draft coming out of the final turn. Saxman 24 with the help of DRS closing quickly on the sister team of Red Bull. Brackish lets Saxman by without any issue there. As Saxman 24 is up into 6th position. Let's see how Ramrod fares trying to find his way around. Not quite sure why Brackish would give up the position that easily. But all this gentlemanry has allowed Delirious to catch right up to the rear end of Williams once more. Double OT is also making himself known in this battle, trying to find his way up out of 10th place. Sosa picks up a 3-second time penalty for pushing the track limits. And I was very mistaken earlier by calling the back straightaway a DRS zone. Apologies. As our midfield will continue to follow each other down the start-finish grid once more. Ramrod defends the inside, Delirious stays well within the draft. Takes the inside position, Ramrod much later on the brakes. Delirious trying to set something up and unfortunately unable to do so as Brackish has lost it coming out of the S's. Gets well off the track before pulling back on. No issues there as Delirious is now right behind the rear end of Ramrod looking to the inside of the hairpin. Can't really establish a passing position as of yet, but Ramrod definitely knows he's there. Double OT right behind this scrap there to jump in case anything happens to these two drivers. Seen Delirious have an issue coming out of Spoon once before. Hopefully we don't see that happen once more. As Delirious just 3/10 off the pace of Ramrod, now going to get a great tow towards 130R. As it looks like Borat got in a lot of trouble in the S's. It's going to allow Capita to work his way into first place. We also have a Sector 2 double caution coming out of Spoon. Brackish lost it as well. Unfortunately struggling with the damage he picked up. He's going to fall all the way back to 12th place and presumably he's going to have to pit as well. Cyclone catching right up to his teammate as Delirious has passed Ramrod in turn 1. Whole lot of action in just one lap there. As Cyclone's going to be looking to the inside of King Kirk. Hopefully we don't see a repeat of Ferrari's performance at Brazil. As Cyclone works his way up into P10 without too much of an issue there. King Kirk's going to follow closely behind, trying to get it as quick as a lap as he can. Brackish now pulls into the pits to replace his tires, and unfortunately he's going to do more than replace tires. He's going to retire from the session and ultimately DNF. We have a Sector 3 double caution. I think that's just for the retiring Brackish. OOT just 3/10 off the pace of Ramrod. Ramrod struggling to stay between the lines. Now diving through 130R. OOT with a great line through there. It's going to allow him to get well along the side of Ramrod going into the chicane. Tries to throw the over-under on him. Gets it done. OOT up into 8th place. Expertly done there. Brilliant piece of driving there. As Kirk and Cyclone are battling once more through the chicane, Kirk's back up into P10. Big wiggle though from the bump of non-existence. It's going to allow Cyclone to go side by side, going down the start-finish line once more. Cyclone's going to tuck into the draft. King Kirk has the assistance of DRS. Borat has worked his way back up to the banana boy of PPR, Capita. Within a second now, approaching 130R. Gonna take a quick look at Ramrod. Trying to make his way around OOT. Unfortunately, can't make anything stick as Cyclone's still continuing to battle with Kirk for P10. And just 3 laps to go as Capita continues to lead the Japanese Grand Prix presented by PPR. OOT is now applying, OOT rather is under attack by MRC Ramrod. Delirious picks up a 5-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits. Ramrod right on the rear end of OOT. These two are going to be charging down the start-finish grid. OOT defends to the inside rather. But with the help of DRS, Ramrod gets it done with a great run coming out of the last turn. Ramrod is up into P8 with just 3 to go. Borat passes Cap heading into Spoon. Unfortunately, I missed the start of the pass, but Borat looks to have executed it without any issues. Cap still right on his tail. OOT continuing to battle with Ramrod for P8. Ramrod also has worked his way up to the back of the McLaren of Delirious. Capital Hood has assistance of DRS approaching turn 1 right behind Borat. Cannot make anything happen yet, but carries a lot more speed through turn 1. Borat taking a very defensive line. Covering that inside, but continuing to hold a pretty much steady half-second interval. We keep our eye on this battle. We're going to hop back on board quickly between Ramrod and Delirious. These three making their way through 130R. Just 2 laps to go. Things are going to start to heat up now, and moves are going to be desperate. Ramrod should have a great run on Delirious now. Engages DRS there, stays well within the draft. Delirious stays on the outside line. And with the help of DRS, Ramrod works his way up into 7th place without anything that Delirious can do about it. Delirious not giving up any bit though. Little bit of a flick of counter oversteer there. Does well to regain control of his rear end there. So we've seen a few of our drivers having quite a few issues in the S's. Tries to establish passing position to the left of Ramrod there going into turn 8. Unfortunately could not. Ramrod with a very medium defensive line there. Driving very intelligently so far today. Cap still just about a half-second off Borat's pace. We'll continue to monitor those guys closely as we just have under 2 laps to go. OOT's just a quarter second off of Delirious's pace. He's trying to make something happen going into 130R. They're about wheel to wheel crossing the junior start-finish line. Delirious lifts and gives OOT the position before turning. Very smart move by the McLaren driver to stay in the race. As Delirious is going to be pulling into the pits. Possibly trying to go for the fastest lap. Hopefully he doesn't fall back out of 10th place, because if you're out of points range, the fastest lap point does not count. As OOT picks up a 3-second time penalty. King Kirk is up into 9th place, followed by his teammate Cyclone into 10th. Delirious now has a bit of work to do with those fresh, soft tires. Hopefully he can put them to good use, as Chandler, driving for Haas, has worked his way to within a second of Capita's pace. Capita's still trying to find a way around Borat, as Borat's going to now start the final lap of the Japanese Grand Prix. Held here at the Suzuka International Circuit, presented by your friends at Pole Position Racing. All 3 drivers unable to make any moves happen going into turn 1. They're all going to follow each other through the S's. Take a look at our total stops for the day. Everybody pretty much keeping it even. Unfortunately, Delirious having to make 2. Chandler's still within a second of Cap's pace, but Cap looking very strong. Working our way through Spoon for one final time. Borat leads the field, followed by PPR Capita. Chandler's not out of it yet, just half a second off the pace of the Renault of Capita. Both these drivers work their way through 130R. No issues there, but unfortunately it looks like Cap is going to be able to hold on to P2. Chandler cannot do anything about it from back there. As Borat crosses the line in first place, he is going to take the win of the first Japanese Grand Prix presented by PPR. Unfortunately, Capita has a 5-second on-serve stop and go because he's such a bad boy. He's going to fall down to 3rd place, and Chandler is going to finish P2. Ramrod and OOT have fallen apart just a bit. Unfortunately, it looks like Delirious is going to finish down in 11th, unable to put those soft tires to good use and pick up the fastest lap of the day. Absolutely flying, though, now as he approaches Spoon. Saxman 24 picks up another 5-second time penalty for an unserved stop and go earlier in the race. I think Saxman 24 led the field in terms of penalty time today, as OOT also picks up a 5-second time penalty, which is going to allow... Actually, it doesn't affect his finishing position at all, as King Kirk crosses the line in 9th. Cyclone finishes 10th, also picking up a 5-second stop and go. Delirious crosses in 11th, as Sosa is the last one. Delirious picks up the fastest lap, but unfortunately it will not count, as it looks like Sosa got some fresh soft tires as well and was going for fastest lap just for fun. But that's all what it is all about here at PPR, is the fun. And that was certainly a fun race to commentate. Hopefully it was a great race to view, and I'm sure it was a great race to take part in. If you're interested in taking part in PPR, head on over to discord.me/PPR. You can join our Discord server, and one of our dutiful admins will be sure to get you sorted out. As I will set up the post-race interviews in just a moment here. There we will get a look at our final positions for the day. Curious to see how many Saxman 24 only had 16 seconds of penalties. That's not too bad. But congratulations to Borat for finishing first in the first PPR race. Great job. I think we might actually have to get the post-race interviews set up for next week, as we are still setting everything up on the back end of things. So once more, be sure to join us same time, same place next week. If you can, join us at 7:30 for the start of our D2 race. And of course, on Friday, be on the lookout for our Division 3 drivers, starting 9 p.m. And from all of us here at PPR, thank you all so much for staying with us. Hope you all enjoyed the first stream here. Be sure to follow our YouTube channel over at PPR Esports. Soon to have a custom URL for you guys, as we will be live streaming there exclusively in the future. But just wanted to get everything going here on Twitch to make the transition as easy as possible for you guys. As I'm just going to quickly look to make sure nothing's magically appeared in my time away. I think it has. But yeah, that will do it for all of us here at PPR. Thank you all so much for watching, and be sure to check our YouTube channel for a full race replay. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next week. Good night.